Hi, everybody. I'm creating a new segment called Timeless Lessons in memory of my dear grandfather, Abraham Russ, Avram Heschel ben Alter Ushulemo. He passed away during the Torah portion of when Abraham passed away. To me, that's not a coincidence. And so every week I'd like to deliver to you some timeless lessons that I find in this week's Torah portion. This week's portion is Parshat Toldos, and it's the famous story of Isaac's two sons. Abraham has Isaac and Ishmael. Isaac has two sons, Esau and Jacob. Now, Esau and Jacob grew up, and at the end of as they got older, at the end of Isaac's life, he wanted to give them a blessing. And if you remember the story, he was going to give the blessings, basically material wealth and prosperity, to his son Esau, thinking that he was deserving of it. But Rebecca, heard this and then created this incredible scheme to bring Jacob in, put on his hands the hair of an animal, and have Isaac, who was blind, mistakenly give the blessings to Jacob instead of Esau. So the question that I have in hearing this story, first of all, it's a pretty cool story. Nothing could just be simple, right? It's always got to be drama. But the real question is, how did she get away with it? This wasn't like she was stealing the blessings. It wasn't like there was cash in the vault. This wasn't like Ocean's 11 antiquity style. Like, it wasn't like when he left, at some point Esau was going to come in, and at some point Isaac would have found out that they lied to him, and at some point, since he blessed them, he could just curse them, right? This whole scheme was for words. It wasn't for money. There weren't stock certificates. These are just words that Isaac used. So Rebecca creates this whole ruse to bring Jacob in to get the blessings, but at some point, they would have been found out, and at that point, Isaac could have just said, hey, no, wrong person, and the two of you, I'm going to curse you for what you pulled off, right? What was she thinking? To go even one step further, you know what happened in the end, right? He gives them the blessings. Jacob leaves. Esau comes in. Then Jacob realizes that he was duped by his wife and youngest son. You know what Isaac says to that? Who did that? Jacob? He should be blessed. What? How does that work? You just stole the blessings, and the guy who you stole it from seemed to have been happy about that? What's going on? So this actually wasn't just an old man that was blind, right? Obviously. Picking kids. There's something much deeper going on here. Esau represented the material world, the world of the physical world. He was a hunter. He was a provider. He was the person out on the street. He was corporate America. He was out there working with his hands, the carpenter, the builder, the doctor, the lawyer, the architect, the engineer, the financial planner. He was the person working all day. He was engaged with the physical world. Jacob was the man who was sitting and studying. He was the spiritual one. He was the one that lived in a tent and delved into esoteric concepts of the Torah. Isaac and Rebecca actually had a difference of opinion. Isaac believed that those can never be the same. The one who lives in the world can never be the one that's spiritual. So let me give the material blessings to the one in the world, and he will then take care of his brother, who will live in the tents and study. Rebecca understood that while spirituality is in itself its own pursuit, spiritual and physical can not only be not separate, but they can be merged into one greater whole. Rebecca brought Jacob in, and she didn't say, honey, you're making a mistake, it should go to Jacob. She dressed him like Esau, because she was saying, you don't think he can be Esau? You don't think he can go out into the world? You don't think he can go out and do whatever he's doing, be a hunter, be a carpenter? Of course he can. He's beginning his life in spirituality, not because spiritual is the negation of physical. Spiritual is the elevation of physical. And if you bless him with material blessings, you will see that he will not only just be Esau, he will be both. And if you notice, the famous words that Isaac says is his hands are the hands of Esau, but his voice is the voice of Jacob. And what he meant there was, while his hands, his physical actions seem like everybody else, the voice is the thing that we have different from the animals. It's only humans speak coherently. It's the thing that God gave us. God infused in us, when he breathed into us, it was voice. And Isaac realized, I may have been wrong. One man, one concept can merge both. The story of this week's Parsha, and then later when he was found out, if you notice, Isaac said that he pulled that off, he should be blessed. The lesson, the timeless lesson of this Parsha is that in our lives, we need to pursue a living. We need to go out into the world and build and heal and grow and defend. And we need to engage in spirituality and to study. But we need to figure out a way to merge them both. We need to figure out a way to live a life that is both spiritual and physical. We need to figure out a way to look at our daily life activities and elevate it so that it means more than just taking from the world, but giving. We need to be able to engage in this world both with the hands of Esau and with the voice of Jacob. And this Torah portion reminds us that Jacob, which ends up becoming Israel, Jacob is the paradigm of both, the paradigm of life, and the paradigm that each of us, in our own way, should strive for every day of our lives.